Hey, what's happening, audience? Welcome back. Well, we got some nice sun going here. So got some time. Let's chat. Let's chat. Or rather, I'll chat and you listen. And then if you want to chat with me, hit me up too. We can chat together. Even better. The more the merrier. Well, what am I talking about here? Yes, I gotta say something. This one is pretty good. This one I like. You heard me, if you listened to my previous videos, talking about the direction of life, simplifying everything to the most basic principle, yin and yang. You know, a lot of people say, oh, yin and yang, everything's in a balance, but like, how does it apply in everyday life? How do you live your life? And you honestly can live life in a right way or wrong way. I know there may be some school of thought is like, oh, nothing is wrong, everything is okay in the eyes of God. Yeah. In absolute terms, yes, because the wrong way is there as a free will in order to find the right way. And as well to create a challenge. Otherwise, this reality would not be interesting. A problem gets it's a little bit too challenging, and so then we get lost and not really finding the right direction in life. We have to kind of live a bit of like a villain's life because that's easier, and to live life in the correct direction becomes quite difficult. So in that sense, in the sense of the game, yes, absolutely, you have to have the villain to have the hero, of course. However, when you're playing this game of life, you may observe yourself in which direction you're actually living. How does it relate to basically everyday life? There is also, I have to say, the masculine flow of energy and the feminine flow of energy. Okay? When the masculine flows against its natural flow, that's a corrupt masculine. When a feminine flows against its natural flow, that's a corrupt feminine. Okay, those are actually the only two problems that we have. From that stems all sorts of other problems, you know. We have 7 devils. There's actually 7 feminine devils and 7 masculine devils. The doubt and the anger. And so there are doubtful emotion and angry emotion. So those two branches. The darkness has the feminine and the masculine side, right? So you're always gonna end up dealing with one or the other. It's either your masculine energy is not flowing in the right direction or your feminine energy is not flowing in the right direction. Okay? Now, well, you may say, that sounds nice and dandy, but how can I see this for myself, and how can it affect my life? Okay, so speaking about the masculine direction and the feminine direction, in a practical way, for example, something that you can observe your own patterns of thought, emotions, and sensations. Okay? Because that's all there is to it. You've never experienced anything else but emotion, sensation, or a thought pattern, perspective, thought pattern. Okay? that's all you ever experienced. Which, by the way, I'm going to interject some cool stuff. If you see everything for yourself, when you don't believe me, I'm just pointing to where to look. That's all I'm doing. But if you look at it, you'll observe yourself and you'll obviously notice that you don't experience anything outside the sensation, emotion, and thought. Okay? And sometimes people may say, oh, we're all one. Okay? And that is not a good idea, because you give this idea to somebody and they use this with their mind, and the mind tries to create this idea that we're all one, but mind cannot do this. Mind is always segregating, your brain rather. It's always separating. It cannot have two opposing concepts or thoughts. There's no middle there. It's either one or the other. That's how your brain functions. So you cannot ask for the brain to hold that type of thought. That's why it's bullshit. And I call bullshit on that. But if you observe through your own experience, don't listen to anybody who says this concept that we're all one, because it's not going to help you at all. You're just going to babble a nice one-liner, but really nothing is actually changing within your consciousness. It's becoming actually the mask. So that is, a wrong direction of life, still a wrong direction of life, but masking with some beliefs to appear that you are actually going in the right direction. Okay? But it's still the same thing. I hope I'm making sense here, but I'm gonna bring it home real soon. Trust me. So, check this out. Okay. The other people. Okay. Why is it an illusion that it's other people? Because it's just a pattern of thought. The otherness is a pattern of thought. What do I mean by that? How do you experience yourself? Is your consciousness experience as a sensations, collective of sensations, emotions, and thoughts. And so you can observe it by yourself, but based on a quite good authority model, rather, that there are 7 body sensations, 7 heart emotions, and 7 thought patterns. Sometimes people call dimensions or densities. Okay, so when people take psychedelic, sensation as emotions remains, but the thought pattern changes. They enter another dimension, another density. You see, and there are 7 of them. 7 of those, 7 emotions, and 7 sensations. You may say, hold on a second, I thought there's only 5 sensations. Well, that's a bit interesting with this one, because the 6th sense, everybody knows. 6th sense, right? It's a sensation. It's a bodily sensation. Spider senses, if you will. There's a sensation that it's not a taste, it's not a smell, it's not neither of them, but there's a 6th sense. And so you can call it intuition, if you will. But there's a 6th sense, and this is kind of well documented and well observed by many people. But then you may say, well, what about the 7th? What the hell is that? And basically all those 7 senses that are like sensory motor world. But your body is a sensory motor world. Your heart is emotional world. It's not only feeling the emotion, but it's also emitting emotion. So it's also the motion and sensation, and the thought as well. You can emit the thought and you can receive a thought. Okay, so there's everything happens like that. Okay. So the 7th sense actually is none other than the pattern of thinking. The thinking process with your brain that we normally call thinking is none other but sensory motor function. Just like me touching my skin, moving my finger, that's a motor function. Touching, that's the sensory. So I feel a touch and a motion. Okay? The same thing happens with your brain. So thinking is actually sensory motor function. Why is it important? This is where I'm kind of bringing in home. So we have 3 worlds right now, right? You can see it for yourself. Sensory motor, body, emotional, heart, and thought patterns, mind. Okay? But you may say, hold on, I thought thinking is part of the mind, not, the brain. No. The thinking function is the brain function. You have a mind also, but your mind is not the brain. Okay? Your mind is not the brain. Brain is a body apparatus with a certain type of function, which is called thinking. Okay? And it, of course, it has an overlap with the mind too. There is a connection there. The body is connected with the mind through the brain. The mind is connected to your heart as well. Okay, so you've got those 3 worlds. Okay, and they're all sort of in this collaborative game. All right. Are we good up to this point? I mean, are there any kind of doubts that we're nothing more than sensations, emotions, and thought patterns? Perceptions, perspectives? If you experience anything else outside of it, let me know. But I don't think you ever will. It's always going to be... So you will never ever experience anything else besides sensations, emotions, and thought patterns. Which means, let's say you were in someone else's body. The experience is still the same: sensation, emotion, thought patterns. You are consciousness. You're never gonna stop being consciousness. You're always gonna be consciousness. So, how do you link this obvious observation with the idea that other people are you? Well, how do you experience yourself, and how do you experience other people? You're going to experience them as sensations, emotions, and thought patterns. Exact same way as you're experiencing yourself. What does that tell you? That sensation is whether it's you or other person is just sensation. Whether it's emotion, you or other person, is just emotion. And if a thought pattern, whether it's you or another person, is just you. You're always going to experience other person as you. It's not possible the other way. So it's kind of obvious. You don't even have to say it, because only the brain comes in and filters everything, and everything that you experience, the pixels, where it's you, another person, there's a separation, and that only, if you remove that filter, then everything becomes like a blur, one sensation, just this, how babies experience the world. But then when they put in the filter of the mind, then suddenly there's separation of, there's you and someone else. And that's all there is. That little filter creates an illusion that there's you and someone else. But really, if you just remain in consciousness, you're going to experience everybody else as sensations, emotions, and thoughts, and yourself the same way, which is no difference. And that is the true way that you can experience yourself right now, how you experience another the same way as you experience you. You can see it for yourself right now. You don't have to study. You don't have to, become enlightened or whatever. You can see it in the same second. Just ask yourself this question, observe. Yeah, I'm sensations, emotions, thought patterns. And another person is also sensations, thoughts, and patterns. You're always going to be the same way. Do you see how no matter, even if you take somebody else's body, it's still you. It's still consciousness. So In this way you can see that everything in this matrix of your reality already you, because you are the one experiencing it. I don't know if I'm making sense, because your body or this phone is still your body, because it's my body, or this phone is still just sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Okay, anyway, I hope I made sense with that one. Right, so now going back to this direction of life, why am I talking and drawing this picture? Look at the direction of thought. And a lot of people say, well, the problem is the thinking. You gotta stop thinking. The problem is the thinking. You gotta stop thinking. And so there's this fucking idea spreading as a virus. And it is a virus because it's not true. And as one cookie cutter solution for everything, and it doesn't work because it's not. You cannot stop thinking. What the hell are you talking about? You cannot stop thinking. Your brain is made to move. Your body is made to move. Your brain always wants to move. Granted, there is a type of motion that is like sensory motion. For example, you may be, it's still a motion. If you're just experiencing sensations, your body, your mind, your brain and body is relaxed, but you're still experiencing motion, some sort of motion. So it never stops moving. Okay, don't try to stop moving because that's dead. So don't try to stop thinking. The thing is that there's a direction of thought. That's the problem. Because the masculine energy must flow from the body, which is your brain as well, to the heart, and not from the body back to the mind. Because if you do that, you introduce your brain into the world of dream state logic, so to speak, right? The mind. And what happens if you do that? That's you're introducing doubt, because that's what the mind does. It always dissects. So if you introduce your brain, I should say brain. If you introduce your brain into the mind, it can't do anything else but doubting. But the mind is imagination. The mind is magic. With the mind, you're supposed to imagine something with intent and immediately experience it. Doubt has no place there. You see? That's how this motion introduces doubt. And so only doubt and anger, those are two facets of life where you already gone wrong, because doubt stems from something that is not true, and then anger stems from something that is a fear. Okay, fear is not bad, a lie is not bad, but what you do with it depends on you, which direction you're going to go. Okay, so every time you introduce the thinking, internal thinking, which is self-conscious thinking, okay, like commentary on the things, and it's like, creating policies about people and stuff like that in the relationships. You can let that go, and you can say, well, okay, so I don't want to use thinking towards this direction. I want to use thinking in the right direction, which means you got to put this thinking pattern towards external matters, things, okay? Things and stuff. The brain is perfect for that. It's built for arranging things around you, using logic and everything. You don't put that tool back onto yourself in that way, okay? That's not introspection, that's self-consciousness, basically, right? There's difference. But I don't want to complicate things right now, but I'm just saying where you can cut the motion that is in the wrong direction today, right now. For example, right now, you could just go throughout the day, and if there's some negative thought pops up, because all thoughts that are about your internal state are negative, They're all doubts. And if they pop up, what do? You don't try to stop thinking. The trick is to introduce, because now your brain is using this motion, moving from the body to the mind and trying to arrange these things. Wrong direction, right? You can deflect your mind onto outside stuff. First of all, that's one thing that you can do. Just focus on the things that you gotta do. But not just that, you can also introduce the feminine flow in that direction, because feminine flow is correct to flow from the body to the mind. That is correct. That is type of care, if you will. Another way to say would be relaxation. So if you have these negative thoughts, there's two things that you can do to change the direction of the flow of those energies. First, you can introduce the body relaxation. I know it sounds simple, but it always works, because you cannot be focused on your body relaxation and thinking at the same time. It doesn't work like that, because the energy starts flowing towards the relaxation, not the internal type of thinking. Okay, so that's the way to do it. You don't stop thinking, you begin to relax your body. That's how you start with that. And then you can train your mind to always be learning something and apply it every day. Some sort of maintenance, some mental work, brain work that needs to be done. Okay, keep your brain in the learning, and if it starts going towards inside, you immediately default to body relaxation, and so that would be the beginning. Okay, now after this is right, what may happen after is that if you always default to the body relaxation, and if you do relax your body really deeply, then you may encounter, because you're moving on that direction now, right? From body, you relax your body, you're moving towards your heart now, in that direction, from body to heart. Okay, just to explain a little more, masculine direction is correct. Masculine direction is from the body to the heart to the mind to the body to the heart to the mind to the body to the heart to the mind. That's the correct masculine flow. Correct feminine flow is from the heart to the body, from the body to the mind, from the mind to the heart. You see what I mean? That's the correct flow. So now, right now, we're doing a correct masculine flow of energies. Okay? And so now we're moving towards the heart, because we're relaxing the body and moving towards the heart. How does it relate to what happens to you in everyday life? You may start feeling something, emotional stuff. You may start feeling some tensions in your heart, or like deeper emotional things. You may start being aware of them. Now, that is something that was creating the internal obsessive thinking. You're discovering the source of why that was internal obsessive thinking happening in the first place. Now, it gives you an opportunity to transmute that energy, meaning gives you opportunity to sit with it. Okay? Now, masculine way is the way of transmutation. You're not running from it, but you're actually going into it. And it is a masculine way because it takes courage to do that. The feminine way would be the opposite. You just, kind of express it, but masculine way, you transmute it. And as you transmute that tension that you had, it may turn into something that it feels really good. So you've done this alchemical process in your heart. Then that can give you energy for your imagination. You can imagine something, whatever you want, right? And in that moment, there may not be doubt about this, right? Because there's no backwards flow of energy. You whatever you imagine, it's vivid and real, and it is so. And you're not doing it to create anything in your physical reality. You're doing it because it feels good and it's amazing. So that's the masculine way: alchemy, magic, and might. Alchemy, magic, and might. And of course, to finish off, I have to say the might is, as of what I said already, you're applying your intellect on the external world, and um, you know. So that completes the circle. And as you can see, there's absolutely a masculine way to live your life, or a feminine way to live your life. Both will lead to the same outcome, but I'm not sure why people are not talking about this. Everybody's talking about sort of supposed to be like one way, but it's not true. Um, there's only the correct direction and incorrect direction of life, and that boils down into now energies: backwards feminine flow of energy, backwards masculine flow of energy. Okay, and as a man, if you start flowing in the right direction, when something happens, let's say an event happens, right? Instead of outbursting in anger, you can transmute that. Yes, it's fire. Yes, it's painful, but you can transmute it. You can bring something out on the other side, and so you receive certain type of energy, and that energy then it creates the solutions. You start imagining all sorts of solutions to whatever you experience that you didn't want. Rather than fighting that problem, you actually reimagine what would not create that problem anymore. And that is correct way. Now, so that's the way of the gentleman, and then the other side would be the way of the lady. And actually, when you are working, shouldn't say that word, working. When you begin to live a life in the right direction as a man, you'll notice that you cannot do alchemy with certain degree of love. It's just not gonna work. Um, you're gonna have to. You will be more identified with that fire energy, of course, with that light energy, because that's what when you're living this life, you're producing this type of light within yourself. But this type of light cannot be sustained without balancing force of feminine energy, which means that you will be holding a lot of that light energy, and feeling the I'm kind of spoiling everything. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Anyway, but all I'm have to say is that whenever you become very masculinely polarized, the feminine energy is there with you. It may not be in the form of a woman yet, but that energy is there with you. That's why it's not possible for you to be full of light and not having love around you. And it's not possible the other way, to be love and not having some light around you. It's just like a magnet drags it. So this is totally correct for a man to be mostly masculinely polarized, and he's going to have an aura of love automatically, and a woman to be femininely polarized, and she's going to have an aura of light already automatically. That's how it works. Okay, so I summarized the gentleman's way, and maybe I'll make another video for the ladies' way, because it is complementary. Um, but I have to say, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Um, and you may say like, well, the woman can also do this thing, and it's like, man, on a most sacred level, it is wrong. I have to say something, because there is a certain things in life are serious or sacred, and everything else is a joke. Okay, because if you're not gonna take this view, if you're gonna say, well, everything is a joke. Okay, if everything is a joke, then you're allowing the energy flow towards direction of suffering, and then you're saying that suffering is okay, which is actually the result of you not knowing how to play this game, and not taking certain things seriously. Before I thought that everything is a joke, but now I'm saying no, you can't look at life like that, that everything is a joke, because that will lead to suffering. Because there's certain things that are absolutely serious, and you can never betray those essential things if you don't want to go back into suffering. This is why life is either bliss or suffering. It's either bliss or suffering. You got to choose which one do you want. Okay? So, all right. Okay, so then there, which means that there's certain things that are serious, and in my view, the seriousness comes into in these that masculine flow of energy. As a man, you can never ever sacrifice that. Those principles can never be sacrificed, no matter how much you're being tempted to do so, or like trying to appease somebody, or like appease a woman. Those principles, you never break them. Okay, so at the core, that must be sacred. What you're doing with your energy, what you're doing with your emotions, with your thoughts, that is sacred. It's non-negotiable. Okay, and it's the same way a woman's supposed to also discover those things, these principles within herself, and never, those should also be non-negotiable in her. Okay, at the deepest level, which means that a man is moving in the right direction, and a woman is moving in the right direction, and creating amplifying effect of power and love. That's what happens. Then after that, everything else is kind of a joke. Okay, as when those two energies at the core between people are aligned, and they, neither of you are going to um, betray those three basic principles, then everything else is a joke. Then you can role play whatever you want. You can have a man doing a feminine role, a woman doing a masculine role. It's all good, because the core, your souls are not betrayed. You see, and it's totally fine for the man, if the push comes to shove, so to speak, for the man to pick up the slack. If the woman is not around. And it's totally fine for the woman to pick up the slack when a man is not around. Okay? But the essence of what you do with your energy every day, where you focus on, that never changes. The woman always need to be leaning towards surrender and openness, and a man always need to be leaning towards courage and intention. You see? That's already the case. This is non-negotiable. This is physics, And if we can agree on those principles that are non-negotiable, everything else we can pretend whatever we want, and it's fun. But this is non-negotiable. And I call it, the gentleman's way, alchemy, magic, and might. That's the gentleman's way. And the lady's way would be complementary to that, and that would be um, love, beauty, and care. Because if you work on something that what I would call might, which is use of intellect and physical um, action to get shit done, to solve problems, make money, and whatever. When you focus so much there, uh, not to overburn, it is obviously what's complementary to that is care. You see, like if you're always running your brain, you need some, let's say, a massage to chill to chill your balls and relax. So you're more efficient at that. So might and care go together. That's in the body's realm. Uh, then magic and beauty also go together, because what happens when a man looks at the woman and sees her being beautiful? Imagination, magic. It stimulates magic. And and at the deepest level, the easiest way for the man to alchemize pain is when there's love. It's becomes super easy. So you see, a woman is kind of while you're alchemizing the pain, the woman is radiating love. But anyway, I don't want to get into much into this. Um, but it's the opposite. It's the opposite. There's no more. I'm a strong, independent woman. We all know what it means. It's a code. I'm a weak, vulnerable, and scared. We all know what it means. There's no need to pretend that. Uh, there's no need to. Honestly, everything that is fucked up with the society is a man's fault. It's not the woman's fault, because even though the river can etch the mountain, it has that power, but the mountain is going to determine which way the river is flowing, not in, you know what I'm saying? So which means the first order of business is to changing the structure, and that's the man's job. And the woman's job is to honestly, the only job is this: is find to what structure to surrender to. With intuitively, whatever structure you're going to surrender to, that's what you're going to become. If you surrender to the structure of this programming, matrix programming, and if this fake woman empowerment, then that's what you're going to become. You're going to become strong, independent, suffering woman. That's what's going to be made out of you, because you surrendered that structure. You say, like, well, I'm not going to surrender to a man. Well, guess what? You're going to have to surrender to something, and you surrender to the structure that you've been programming to. Is whatever you're going to do, you have to select what are you going to surrender to, what kind of structure. And of course, the best thing is to surrender to God, but or that divine order. Which means it's like if a man is linked with God or bound to God, that word, when I say that word, like, I don't want to introduce too much of that, but it's a type of order. It's a type of order. When a man is linked to that type of order, if a woman feels intuitively that is the case, then all she got to do is surrender to that man, and immediately she's going to receive all the benefits of that type of structure. And what that structure is going to lead is going to lead into pretty much it. And if a woman surrenders to a man that is corrupt, which is in this case, for example, the media programming, which is type of a man, it's a corrupt man, and of course it leads to suffering. But if you surrender to the right order, to the right man, it leads to bliss. I know there's this fear that because there have been a lot of punishment as a result of trusting and surrendering, that now the trust and surrender kind of becomes not an option. But you can't do that. The problem is that you've surrendered and trusted a wrong structure. That's all it was. Okay. The trust in itself is not wrong, but you got to find what you can trust, what kind of structures you can trust, what kind of principles you can trust. But you got to find something that you can trust. And one thing you can trust is you can trust your imagination. And so whatever you're going to imagine is very likely going to come into your life. So I'm starting to babbling right now. So we're going to leave it at that. It's already 41 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed my little ramble. Hopefully it helped. What else can I say? There is indeed the right way and the wrong way. If a man goes towards the wrong way, that's suffering. If a woman goes towards the wrong way, that's suffering too. But the man should not go towards the way. You see what I'm saying? There's just two energy flows that must be in a complementary motion. And the magic starts happening out of that. You know, it's like the beginning may be difficult because to build a nuclear reactor, there's a lot of energy that has to be put in first. But once you start that baby up, it runs by itself. And that's this work that we gotta do. We gotta start that baby up. And you have to, go by the principles at first until it takes on its own life. Okay? Well, that's my message. See you in the next one. Peace.